Welcome to the Bay. Look, if you're staring down an upcoming rig upgrade and you're agonizing over whether to go with Team Red or Team Green for that sweet spot of 1440p or 4K gaming, you have landed in the exact right place. Today, we are settling a heavyweight GPU bout. We're using some absolutely fantastic, comprehensive data sourced directly from bestgpusforgaming.com to break down the AMD Radeon RX 7900 XT and the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 5070 Ti. Let's get right into it.
All right, so let's dive into this explainer and figure out which of these cards deserves to dock in your next high-tech build. Best GPUs for Gaming is literally an incredible resource. As they put it, it's a safe harbor for new builders to find the perfect graphics card. It helps you skip the dreaded cable spaghetti and make the right call. We're going to take their deep dive benchmark data and turn it into a super clear roadmap for you.
So here is how our system is posting today. First, we'll look at specs and raw raster power. Then, ray tracing and advanced features. Third up, price, power, and efficiency. And finally, we'll figure out which GPU you should actually dock.
Kicking things off with Section 1, Specs and Raw Raster Power.
Okay, the real contrast between these two titans, it's all about how they handle memory. Over on Team Red, AMD's RX 7900 XT is rocking the RDNA 3 architecture, and it brings a massive, and I mean massive, 20GB GDDR6 memory pool on a wide 320-bit bus. That's just brute force capacity, right? Absolutely perfect if you're loading up extreme high-resolution texture packs. But then, look at NVIDIA's RTX 5070 Ti. It leverages the brand new Blackwell architecture. Sure, it sports a smaller 16GB memory pool, but, and this is crucial, it uses highly efficient next-gen GDDR7 memory on a 256-bit bus. So it really comes down to a classic showdown, sheer volume versus cutting-edge speed.
So out in the wild, how does that actually translate? Well, when we look at average frames per second at 1440p resolution with ray tracing completely turned off, we start seeing the real-world results. Take Cyberpunk 2077 on ultra settings, for example. The 7900 XT pushes a very solid 105 FPS, but man, the 5070 Ti just pulls ahead to 120 FPS. It's the same story in Forza Horizon 5 on extreme settings. We've got the 7900 XT at 165, while the 5070 Ti cruises up to 185. So in traditional rasterized games, the data from bestgpusforgaming.com shows the 5070 Ti holding a solid 10 to 15% lead on average. It just gives you higher 1% lows and a bit more headroom to max out those settings.
Moving right along to Section 2, Ray Tracing and Advanced Features.
These divergent feature sets show two completely different philosophies. AMD is relying heavily on that massive 20GB memory pool to muscle its way through huge textures and crazy mods, backing it up with FSR 2 and 3 for upscaling. NVIDIA, on the other hand, takes a totally different route. They leverage that Blackwell architecture to just utterly dominate the ray tracing space. With the 5070 Ti, you aren't merely getting better ray tracing hardware, you're unlocking DLSS 4 with multi-frame generation. And the data doesn't lie. When you crank those ray tracing settings way up, the 5070 Ti significantly extends its lead over the AMD card. It just delivers a much smoother experience in RT-heavy titles.
But hey, it's not just about gaming, right? If your rig is pulling double duty as the streaming or video editing workstation, the 5070 Ti's ecosystem brings some serious firepower. You're getting top-tier NVNC and AV1 encoding for super crisp streams, plus NVIDIA Broadcast for those AI-powered audio and video tweaks. Add in rock-solid studio drivers and NVIDIA Reflex to cut down system latency, and wow, it is an incredibly compelling package if you're a hybrid creator gamer.
All right, let's jump into Section 3. Price, power, and efficiency.
Physically, both of these cards are pretty beefy 2.5 slot designs, meaning you're definitely going to need good case airflow. On the power side, the 7900 XT is pulling about 315 watts, while the 5070 Ti is a tiny bit more efficient at 300 watts. Now, both recommend a 750-watt power supply so you can avoid any of that nasty thermal throttling or random crashes. But then you have to consider the price tag. Based on recent market snapshots from bestgpusforgaming.com, the RX 7900 XT is sitting at a really attractive $599. That is roughly $150 cheaper than the $749 RTX 5070 Ti.
So, what does this all mean? The absolute crucial takeaway is value. When you crunch the numbers on those 1440p averages, the RX 7900 XT spits out an outstanding 0.26 frames per second per dollar. Compare that to the 5070 Ti's 0.23, and it's crystal clear. The RX 7900 XT is for sure the undisputed budget value champion of this matchup.
If your main goal is maximizing traditional frames while maybe keeping some extra cash in your pocket for a better CPU or monitor, man, the AMD card makes a whole lot of sense. Which brings us to our final section, number 4. Which GPU should you dock?
Ultimately, this all comes down to your specific builder persona. Let's say you're the budget high-end gamer. If that's you, the RX 7900 XT is your safe harbor. You're getting incredibly strong raster performance, you're saving $150, and you get that massive 20 gigs of VRAM for heavy mods. On the flip side, if you're the 1440p ray tracing gamer or a serious content creator, you should probably dock the RTX 5070 Ti. Yeah, you're paying a premium, but you're getting maximum ray traced visuals, the absolute magic of DLSS 4, slightly better power efficiency, and that entire NVIDIA creative ecosystem.
Before you go and click that buy button, run through this simple 4-step diagnostic. Step 1, lock in your hard budget limit. Is it $600 or are you comfortable stretching to $750? Step 2, ask yourself right now if advanced ray tracing and DLSS 4 are absolute deal breakers for the games you actually play. Step 3, seriously, get out a tape measure and check your case clearance, because like we said, these are huge 2.5 slot cards. And step 4, GPU prices are literally fluctuating constantly, so always hop over to bestgpusforgaming.com to check live pricing before you pull the trigger.
So I'll leave you with this. Which card actually completes your rig? Are you banking on the brute force, high VRAM value of the RX 7900 XT? Or do you honestly believe the AI-driven ray tracing of the 5070 Ti is the only true way forward? It's a tough call. Be sure to head over to bestgpusforgaming.com to check out their full suite of 4K benchmarks to help you make that final decision. Thank you so much for docking with us here on The Explainer today. Keep it cool and keep building.